I spent about 7 years in school, went $100,000 in student debt in order to get a master's degree and realized that it's not enough to keep up in the modern era. I'm here to talk about a problem that's affecting a lot of healthcare professionals and most likely other professionals as well. And it's the fact that we were promised this life where if we follow the path of going to school, studying hard, getting that degree, and finally working really hard, we would live a happy and successful life. But what I realized instead is that that's not necessarily the case. There are some missing components, missing things that we weren't aware of that school didn't really teach us. So that's the topic of today's video. I wanted to figure out why this is happening and what we can do to actually solve this problem. How can we prepare ourselves for this inevitable future? At least when I started to realize the problem is that I realized that I'm working this job, right? And say I wanted to increase my income. So I would go to my boss and like, hey, I want to make more money. Can you please do this for me? The problem here is that there is a market value on how much I'm supposed to be paid as a specialist, right? Because I went to a master's degree, I got this very, very specialized career. So the market has already determined my value. So no matter how hard I worked, no matter how much I hoped for, I have a very, very hard ceiling to how much money I can work. And this is what is frustrating a lot of professionals right now, because they feel that no matter how hard they work, no matter what they did, they don't really see a way that they can exponentially scale their income, scale their growth, and they feel stuck, right? So the only other option is they can either work more, they can try to find a slightly better paying job, or they can just pray for some sort of promotion, right? And hopefully that will happen like relatively soon. But all of these components, at least, it's really difficult to escape the situation. Like if you work more, you're going to get more tired. If you try to find a better paying job, like you might get it, but it might not even be a huge difference. And if you're hoping for a promotion, well, that's completely out of your control, right? So I wanted to see what was the other solutions. What is it that you can actually do that's going to change things? So at least how I want to frame this is I want to make it a little fun. And because this is something that I kind of practice myself, is I like to think about life as a game, right? And in order to really enjoy the game, you have to continuously progress. You have to level up because that's what makes the game fun, right? If you're just constantly stuck at a wall, you're not really getting better at the game, everything's kind of kicking you down, beating you down, then it's going to suck, right? You're not going to really want to play the game. But that's exactly what's happening right now to people in the healthcare field. They're working really hard, but they don't really feel any progression. They don't feel any compensation. So they're just getting more and more frustrated. And a lot of people have kind of resigned to the fact that I guess this is the career path I chose. I guess this is how things are supposed to go. But I didn't want to accept that. So I kind of came up with my own structure of how to do so. And I realized that there are three main things that we have to do. If we think about this as the context of game, if we think of life as a game, as achieving success, as the reward for playing the game well, then these are three things that you have to do. Essentially, the first thing is we need to learn how to gain experience in life. The main mistake that I did is that the moment that I started working, I've stopped really trying to grow myself. I stopped learning. I stopped trying to do new things. Whereas in school, I was constantly learning, I was improving, right? But the moment I got into work, I was so caught up in the hustle of work to make more money that I didn't really focus on how am I actually improving on my skills. Because if you think about it this way, right? If people are going to pay you based on the value, expertise that you have, if you don't really gain new expertise, then how is someone going to give you more money? How are you going to grow more, right? And here's the thing though, just simply working your job doesn't really count as gaining experience because you're just going through the motions. And most often than not, if you're in a specialized field, you're just kind of doing the same thing over and over and over again. So you're not really growing. Yes, you're getting better at that thing, but you're not really developing your experience elsewhere. So it's extremely important that you take some time out of your day, to actually try to gain new experiences that are meaningful to you, to learn about new things that can add to your value and your skill sets. So maybe if you're interested to learn how to use, AI a little bit better, learn how to present on camera a little bit better, how to, be a little bit more fit. All these different skill sets are things, experiences that you can start to gain. So that's at least one part of the equation that you have to kind of separate yourself from work and realize that as an individual, you need to seek more things, more knowledge, more skills, right? So that's how you gain experience. That's at least the first component. Now, the second component is how do you save that experience? Because sure, you can just learn and learn and learn, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to actually retain any of the information. So the second component is once you start to learn about new stuff, you have to apply it somehow. You have to apply it through a project. You have to reflect on the information and write about your experiences. You basically have to make it an effort that you're documenting your progress. It's kind of like a game, right? If like you're going through the levels, you don't want to start the next day again back at level 1. You want to make sure you save your progress, document everything, and then continue on from there. So for example, if you're trying to, learn how to present better on camera, okay, I'm just giving this example because that's exactly what I'm doing. Like as I'm learning about stuff, how to speak to a camera, how to be more confident, all these kind of things, now I'm applying it to an actual scenario where I'm talking to a camera. I'm trying things out, right? And after this, I'm going to review things. Am I doing things good enough? How can I improve? But that's essentially how you start to save your progress, right? How you start to, leverage more experience, gain more experience, and have all that experience ready to go. That's the important thing there. And this is all besides the fact that you're working, right? As you're working, sure, you're doing all those things, but you're also doing these extra things where you're developing your own self. So once you've done that enough, once you've saved enough experience, we can then move on to the third phase, right? Is to eventually use that experience. Because now you have a very unique perspective on a particular skill. You have developed the knowledge, you have developed the skills that you're now ready to use it and share it to other people. So the way that you do this, at least, is you can start telling people like, hey, this is how this can be useful to you. This is a skill that you can use to improve on your life. This is what I learned from going through this process. And you simply just kind of put it out there for the world to know. And again, this might not make sense so far, but all you're focused on right now is to simply generate proof. You want to show the world that, hey, this is what I've done. This is what I'm capable of. And this is the important part. You want people to see you as an individual that's constantly growing, who's authentic, and someone to be relatable to you. Because the main problem, at least right now, of working in a very specialized field is that only people in that field are aware of what you're capable of, right? And sometimes that's a very, very small amounts. Because ultimately, if people don't know what you're capable of, then how are you going to get better opportunities? So what you need to do, at least, is you need to put yourself out there, show proof of what you're capable of the things you're learning, the experiences you're gaining, what are your dreams are, what are you working towards, and people want to relate to that. And the more that you're able to do that, the more like potential for opportunities are going to approach to you. And keep in mind, it doesn't always have to be just something particular to your field. And if anything, you have to make sure you're pouring all this effort into learning, developing skills in things that you're actually interested in. Because the idea here is not to do something just for the sake of doing it, is to do something and feel excited to do it. To show people that this is what I'm curious about, this is how I'm growing, this is what I'm learning about. And eventually in time, you'll build up this huge stack of skills and knowledge that you can combine to create, some sort of life that you want. At least that's the path that I'm going with, to realize that there are missing components to it, that it's not enough just to work hard. You have to work hard on the right things. And the right things for right now in the whole new era, this digital era, is to find a way where you can gain experiences and share them on the internet for other people to see, to create a portfolio where people can look at you and like, hey, he's capable of these kind of things. Maybe they can help me solve this problem. Eventually, you can tailor your skills to direct it to other people. This is what I'm capable of. You can see all the proof of stuff that I've done. And that's how essentially you can scale things. Of course, I'm putting all this very, simplified. There's a lot that goes into this whole process. But you have to realize that simply working hard and just hoping for the best isn't enough anymore. And, maybe you are in the process of getting a master's degree, or if you already gotten a master's degree. Think about that as more as a puzzle piece, not the end solution. Just because you got a master's degree doesn't mean that you're guaranteed success right now, but it does guarantee that you have a very vital component, a very unique component, this master's degree, all these skills and knowledge that you can now add and combine with other things you're going to learn. Because your growth doesn't stop like right after you finish school or start your job, right? It's going to continuously go on. And I think a lot of people forget that. School makes us forget that. We sometimes think that, I finally got my degree. I guess I never have to learn or study or grow ever again. I can just work my job and make money. But it's not enough to keep up in the modern era. there's a lot more work that needs to be done, and that's at least what I think. I know I made this video kind of rambling a little bit, but a lot of these thoughts have been populating my mind. I've been wondering how people in healthcare, especially rehabilitation therapists, I'm an occupational therapist, but also physical therapists, speech therapists, all these other therapists, nurses, doctors, whatever it is. How can we scale our income? How can we scale our potential? And not a lot of people talk about that. So at least I'm trying to figure out the solution. And yeah, so that's about it. So if you guys like this kind of content, make sure you like, subscribe to the channel. I'm kind of documenting my ideas, my experiences, my progress at least, and we're kind of going about one day at a time. So hope you guys come along for this journey if you're interested in this kind of stuff. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the very next one. Take care. Peace.